Hi, I'm now onto the top 5 for season 2 of Hazbin Hotel, which has a lot of characters that I love, but I'm now onto the characters in the season that I love the most. Number 5 is Charlie. I think that her feelings about redemption, about anybody being possible of redemption, is incredibly inspiring, touching, and profound, and her morality still means a lot to me. I feel like she wasn't as consistently lovable and interesting in the second season as the first season, but her morality still has a deeply important impact on me. It's still a lot of why I love Hazbin Hotel. She has some fantastic moments, she has funny moments, cute moments. She has a lot of great stuff to offer in the second season and is able to be a character that is very flawed but incredibly likable, and I really enjoy what's done with her in the second season. And I think that she has potential to eventually get back to number one, but um, she did go down quite a bit, even though I still love the character. Because there was a time where she was number one for me, and I think that she was my number one for a long time. Uh, but five isn't too bad considering how many characters there are in Hazbin Hotel. I feel like actually a lot of fans would have Charlie much lower at five. Uh, Number four for me is Vaggie, who I think is one of the most underrated Hazbin Hotel characters. I loved her in the first season. She was my second favorite character in the first season for a long time. I felt like she was the character that came the closest to giving Charlie anybody some competition for the best character in the first season. And I think she is actually more consistently likable in the second season than the first season because she's gotten past the big secret that she kept from Charlie. She's been able to really grow as a person, and for me, she is consistently better than Charlie in the second season. But because of how much I love Charlie in the first season, it's really hard to choose between them. I feel like the third season could help me have a more definitive opinion on it. But in terms of speaking of the second season, I feel like putting Vaggie above Charlie. Number three is a character that really got a lot higher than she used to be. Velvet. I really liked Velvet in the first season, and she really grew on me because at first I wasn't expecting her. It felt like she came out of nowhere. I didn't really know what to think of her, but I ended up thinking she was incredibly enjoyable, incredibly charming, a wonderful character to have as a fun supporting character. And I think that she was in my top 10 for the first season, but I think she was low. I think she could have been number 10. And I definitely saw potential in her, but thanks to the V's getting so much to do in the second season, Velvet's potential really got to be explored. And Velvet is still the least interesting of the V's. She doesn't have that really personal rivalry that really helps the other two be so fascinating. And I feel like she still doesn't get quite as much to do as the other two, but she really was a lot more prominent in the second season than the first season by a significant amount, and it really helped her shine as one of the most funny, entertaining, and stylish characters in Hazbin Hotel. Her outfits are amazing, her sense of style is great, her personality is hilarious and so much fun. Velvet's fantastic in the second season of Hazbin Hotel. My number two, I think, uh, will be my biggest hot take. Number two for me is Valentino. I think that Valentino was the most disliked character in the first season of Hazbin Hotel, and I think that he's still a very disliked character. As a villain, a character to root against, I think he's fantastic. And I feel like he's the type of character the audience rooted against that even though he's absolutely awful in a lot of ways, he is so entertaining. I feel like he gives my number one a little bit of competition at times for being the funniest and most consistently entertained character to watch in Hazbin Hotel. He's a messed up character, and he does incredibly messed up things, but much like the Joker, a lot of the funny moments come from him seeing really huge, tragic things as something that he can poke fun at, and he's a character that really works for a lot of the same reasons the Joker does without feeling much like the Joker at all. And Valentino is a fascinating character in the second season because in the first season he seemed like the evilest of the V's by quite a lot. In the second season, it feels more debatable because Valentino has a few nice qualities. Obviously, not very many, but I think that with Charlie making such a big deal about anybody being possible of redemption, I feel like the second season of Hazbin Hotel doesn't redeem Valentino, but shows that he, even he, has a little bit of good inside of him. And I feel like the few good things he does in the second season are really more done to help him, Velvet, and to a certain degree Vox, rather than to actually be kind. But I still feel like he has some genuine love for Vox and Velvet, which I think makes a character that's almost pure evil have a tiny bit of humanity. I feel like that tiny bit of humanity makes him so much more interesting than he would be if he even disliked his teammates. I feel like that would make him a much flatter character. And it felt a little confusing if the season was trying to make him somewhat sympathetic, where he feels like Vox is taking him for granted. But I feel like it's done through his point of view, where to he sees himself as sympathetic. But I feel like Velvet would be the only other character in the show that would see him that way. I feel like the other characters would still not really feel that sorry for him, particularly Angel. So I think he's a very delicately handled character in the second season, and I personally love what's done with him, but I definitely understand why people would not even enjoy Valentino as a fun character to root against. I can understand if they just dislike his presence, and I think that's perfectly fair. I'm just here to express how I personally feel. And the number one for me is Vox. The second season of Hazbin Hotel is more entertaining than the first season, and a lot of that is because of the V's in general, but particularly Vox. Vox really felt like the big standout character. It really felt like his season more so than even Charlie's season. I really felt like he completely took the spotlight, and he was great in the first season. He had some memorable, hilarious moments that stuck with me. I definitely liked the character a lot in the first season, but it's the second season where he has so much potential that's explored. He has more potential than I even realized. I didn't realize he could be that great of a villain. Where Vox in the second season of Hazbin Hotel could be the single most entertaining villain in a modern show. I think he's at least up there, if not the number one most entertaining villain of a modern show. He is so much fun to watch. His storyline is fantastic. His voice is a delight to listen to. I love his songs. I love his complicated dynamic with the V's, his rivalry with Alistair. Oddly starts off from a tragic place, but then he obviously becomes very evil. Uh, there's so much to him as a character, and I feel like the second season of Hazbin Hotel is so deeply carried by him. I love him so much that I think it would be incredibly hard for whoever the season 3 villain ends up being to top him. And I'm not saying it's impossible or anything like that, but I think it would be so hard, and I personally don't think it would happen. I think that Hazbin Hotel's take on Adam um, is a bit odd. I don't really like Adam being thrown under the bus in that way, but if we're talking about just a character, a fictionalized version of Adam, I think that Adam was hilarious in the first season, incredibly entertaining. I think that he is one of the best characters in the first season, but I think Vox really surpassed him in such a huge way. I feel like there's no competition as far as I'm concerned. So Vox is very much my favorite character in the second season of Hazbin Hotel, and he's risen up and becoming my favorite character in Hazbin Hotel overall.